All right, hey everyone, happy Sunday, happy Mother's Day to everyone out there, all the mothers, obviously. Hopefully you guys wish your mothers a happy Mother's Day. Got her some flowers, got her, taking her out to eat or something like that. But it's obviously Sunday here. We got a couple things that we're going to talk about. One is, we'll get into it here, but should Bitfarms hire Ben Gagnon as their CEO? Right, that's something I've been thinking about here for a while. And then yesterday's spaces with the BTC mining guy and Mike Alfred on there made me think a little bit, and I kind of want to just basically put out the reasons why I think maybe Ben would be a good CEO for them. And then we'll take a look at obviously Bitcoin versus the Bitcoin miners this past week, the 4 weeks, 8 weeks, and 12 weeks as well. And then we'll get into the Q&A side of things. So it should be pretty easy here today. So let's get into it here. But first, we got to go through our full disclosure. You guys know this, right? Not financial advice for entertainment only. Do your own research. And then all the other stuff is full disclosure for you guys. If you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. So let's take a look at first. We'll take a look at Bitcoin, what's going on with it, and the charts there as far as hash rate is concerned. So hash rate has been coming down, obviously, right? The hash price has been coming down as well. That's obviously leading some of the older generation miners to come offline, like the 80 and the 90 terahash miners, which we kind of expected that would happen eventually. But depending where Bitcoin price was going to be, it might not have happened. Right? But Bitcoin being down to in the 60s, 60,000 range right now, it's definitely having an impact on the network hash rate. Older miners are being unplugged. And we're seeing that we bottomed out here, at least on the 7-day average here at 575 exahash. We're up a little bit here now to 586. If we look at the daily chart on it, our bottom was on that one at 534 exahash here. This was just on May 5th. So we're definitely coming down on that. It's kind of flattening out a little bit here, as I can tell right now. Going on the 30-day. 30 days also kind of went up a little bit here to 615 from 613 exahash. So we'll see how much more of a decrease in network hash rate we'll have in the coming weeks, I guess. If Bitcoin price stays where it's at right now and difficulty stays where it's at, that's going to obviously have an impact on the miners that are not having efficient machines installed. And then let's take a look at here. This is the Bitcoin transaction fees per day. That's coming down also here. This is as of today, May 12th. So that's down to 21.63 BTC per day on transaction fees. We were at 36.98, so almost 37 yesterday alone. So that's obviously having an impact on the profitability of the miners there. So we like to keep an eye on that. And then we have also the hash rate price index, hash price index. And that is right now at $48, right? We kind of peaked here a little bit on May 11th. Not really May 11th. I mean, it was more like May 10th. We peaked at $51 per petahash per day. And then we got May 11th around 50, and then we're back down to 48. So we're kind of in the 50 range right now with hash price, so it isn't too bad. Bitcoin overall had a pretty good weekend. It didn't go down, which is obviously good news here. But we are above our kind of support line here at 61,000, which is kind of nice. We closed above that today. We'll see what Bitcoin does, obviously, in the next 24 hours or so. It may continue to go back up. It may get rejected, come back down here to 57,000, right? So we've touched this only once here recently. So we may test that again, I'm guessing. Maybe. Doesn't have to, but I'm guessing might test it. If it does, we'll see how many times it tests it before it actually starts going back up. If it tests it too many times, we might be coming back down to like 53.7 at that point. Okay. So that's kind of just the things I'm seeing on that. Miners obviously weren't trading today, so we're not really going to get into it. But let's get into the main story, or the main thought that I have here is obviously getting potentially Ben hired on as CEO of Bitfarms. And I was, like I said in the beginning, I was on the space with the BTC mining guy, a bunch of other people. It was late last night that we were talking about this, actually. Mike Alfred was on there as well. And he was saying that he's still invested in Bitfarms, right? He had a much larger position in them about a year ago or so. He's trimmed that down a little bit. And the reasons for that, he said, is just the uncertainty with not knowing what's going on with the CEO position, right? Why is the current CEO leaving, basically, or is being forced to leave? Maybe, we don't know. There's not a lot of details on it. And then obviously he had some concerns with the board there as well, which I don't know very well. The board seems like they're pretty good there, a bunch of experience, but maybe there's something there that I'm not privy to, you're not privy to. But obviously Mike, being in the industry for so long, being on the board of IREN as well, he may have some context that he may have some insights into that, which we don't. Okay, but that got me thinking. It's like, all right, well, if they're looking for a new CEO, right, they're getting this new committee started up to find a new CEO or replacement for the current outgoing CEO. But I'm thinking, like, why would you look outside when you have somebody that's great on the inside? We've had Ben on before on the Twitter Spaces, and he is just so knowledgeable. He knows what he's talking about. He's been in this space for so long. So I kind of wanted to just kind of give you guys an overview why I think they should hire him, give you a little bit of a background on him, and we'll go from there to the Bitcoin Weekly, see how the Bitcoin did and everything else, okay? So let's go back to this screen. This is from Bitfarms' website. Ben Gagnon is the Chief Mining Officer right now. Ben started building and operating Bitcoin mining facilities in mainland China in 2015. That's going back basically, what is that now, 9 years back, right? So that was pretty much during the boom time there. I mean, it's still booming right now, but obviously China banned Bitcoin mining. But he was in that area. He was in that region. He was doing all this stuff, in the very beginning before we had public miners and everything else. Ben brings over 6 years, well, it's now more like 9 years of real-world Bitcoin mining experience and is recognized industry thought leader. His expertise continues to refine Bitfarm's miner fleet and operational management, right? So he's a big player there. If we look at the org chart here, we got obviously Geoff Murphy as the president CEO. And then right after that, we got Ben Gagnon, Chief Mining Officer. Below that is VP of Techs, VP of Marketing Communications. And then we have obviously the CFO. And we got 18 more here. Probably have to sign up for it. Oh, we can see it here. So there's definitely quite a few people in there as well, right? I don't know where he stands in line on all of these, but I'm guessing that being Chief Mining Officer, he's going to be reporting directly to the President CEO right now, which obviously gives him pretty good insight into the company as far as what's going on in there, things like that. And they've been even kind of schooling him to get to a position where he could be possibly the CEO. Now, I don't know if Ben even wants to be the CEO here. Some people just don't want that kind of responsibility, don't want that kind of position. He might be just happy where he's at, performing all of his duties as Chief Mining Officer, right? But I think Ben would be a huge, huge win for them if they could get him as a CEO, right? And here's kind of why here. Let me see if it's this one. So this is actually the bio from Bitcoin Magazine here. I guess Ben's wrote a couple articles for them. So Ben Gagnon is the Chief Mining Officer for Bitfarms. He has been working in Bitcoin mining industry since 2015 after discovering Bitcoin and crypto at the Cali School of Business in 2010. His considerable mining and international experience includes establishing mining operations in China, Canada, and the United States, as well as funding multiple Bitcoin companies and developing technologies, including mining as a service, negative emissions mining, otherwise referred to as turnkey flare gas mitigation, and immersion cooling technology. Ben has a bachelor's in science and economics and international business from the Kelley School of Business at Indiana University and a master's of science in internet computing and e-commerce with a specialty in cybersecurity from Hong Kong University. So obviously he's a really bright guy, right? Based on this, his experience in the industry, his knowledge, everything else that he brings to the table for Bitfarms, I think Ben would be a fantastic CEO potentially, right? He knows the operations. He knows what's needed to drive growth forward and how to obviously possibly just bring value to investors. He's been through it all. He's seen it all. He's knee deep in it, I guess you could say, with the mining and everything else. And then he also obviously gets on these panels where he talks and he comes on spaces and he's very eloquent and knows what he's talking about. This is kind of his passion. You can almost kind of feel it in the way that he talks. So this is kind of my, I guess you could say, maybe plea to Bitfarms and their board and everybody else in there. Maybe take a look at Ben, see if he's interested. At least if he is, maybe give him the shot. He's been with the company for a long time and he's obviously doing a great job for you guys here and going to be growing to 21 exahash, but you need somebody that obviously has experience in this field. Bringing somebody from the outside is not always that great because, well, maybe they just don't have the knowledge. Maybe they do. But I think having somebody inside that knows the operation, knows the ins and outs of hash price, hash cost, operations, what it takes to have a good running operation is important. And I think he brings that to the table plus more. So that's just it. Let me know if you guys agree with my thoughts on this as far as getting Ben as the CEO. I think it would be a great thing for Bitfarms, the shareholders as well. But let me know what you guys think. Okay. So that is it on Ben. We'll see what happens with obviously the CEO position there. We don't know. We don't have insight into the board, how they are working on it, or the committee that's looking for a new CEO on that as well. And maybe Ben was asked, right? And that's why they got a new committee to look for a CEO. I don't know. But I think Ben would be great. But let me know what you guys think. Okay. So that is my little rant or my little plea, I guess you could say, to Bitfarms on that. All right, let's take a look at, obviously, the Bitcoin miners, see how they did here. this past week, and always we look at how the miners have performed in the last 52 weeks from their 52-week lows and from the 52-week highs, how far away they are from that. And you can still see here that Cleanspark is still the number one here as far as price appreciation in the stock percentage-wise in the last 52 weeks from this low. That's up 360%. TeraWolf is just slightly above Bitfarms right now, or not Bitfarms, Bitcoin, sorry. Bitcoin's at 145%, and then you got everybody to the right of that below. So basically underperforming Bitcoin here in the last 52 weeks. You got Marathon up 134%, BitTier up 98%, Bitfarms are up 88%, Cypher up 81%, Iris up 71%, Core up 39.5%, Hut 8 29%, BitDigital 22%, Riot 17%, almost 18%, and Hive at 8% on that. So that's kind of the way that things are looking. If you bought any miners here in the last 52 weeks at their lows, this is basically what you'd be looking at as far as your gains right now. And then as far as how the miners are away from their 52-week highs, we can see that majority of these miners are like in Bitcoin's only 17% away, but the majority of the miners are at least 30 some plus percentage away from the 52-week highs. You got Cleanspark at 37%, you got Cypher at 35% away, then you got Core at 40%, TeraWolf has at 44%, and then a lot of these guys are like 49 for Marathon, BitDier 62, and you can see obviously the list here. I'm not going to go through it all. But that's kind of how those are stacking up right now. And if we look at the weekly performance on the 1 week, 4 week, 8 week, and 12 week, we can see that things definitely change here relatively quickly here. So in the last week, we can see that Bitcoin at that point is down 3%. So Hive basically did the same thing as Bitcoin. BitDigital did a little bit better. It's only down 2%. Marathon, same thing, down 2%. Iris is up 1%, so it's done better. TeraWolf is up 2%, and Core actually 9%, right? They had a really good quarter here after getting out of bankruptcy, so that's obviously boosting the stock there. Hut 8 was down 3%. Cleanspark was down 4%, so actually Hut 8 did the same as Bitcoin here. BitDier was down 4% as well. Bitfarms was down 5%. Cypher was down 10%, and Riot was down 12%. On the week. If we look out 4 weeks out, things change a little bit there. Bitcoin's down 5%. The only stocks that have done better than Bitcoin are Hut 8, Cypher looks like, Riot, BitDigital, Marathon, Iris, TeraWolf, and Core being up 17%. So that's the best performer here in the 4 weeks. Going out 8 weeks, Bitcoin's still down only 5% from 8 weeks ago. So it's pretty flat over this time period. And then we can see here that the only miners that did better than them, Cleanspark basically flat as well. It's done the same thing as Bitcoin here. Other than that, we got Cypher up 23%, Hut up being up 2%, TeraWolf up 10%, Core up 16%. Then we look at 12 weeks ago, things definitely changed here. Bitcoin's up 20% from 12 weeks ago. And we got, who else is up here positive? More than 20%. So that would be TeraWolf up 32%, Cypher up 35%, and Cleanspark being up 94%. Okay. So that's the weekly update there. And we can see here on the table here that we can see that we've had pretty much 2 red weeks in a row here. We've had 1 week in the green here. Prior to that, we had a red week, green week, red week, green week, red week, green, green, red, green. So it's definitely mixed and matched here a little bit over the past while here. So we're looking to get more into this type of space where we had it from basically middle of October into December, where we had a heck of a lot more green weeks than we did red weeks. And eventually I think that will come. It's just, you got to be patient with it. Okay. So that is it for it. It's going to be, like I said, a pretty short one. So let's get into the Q&A side of things. See if you guys have any questions. If not, will be even an easier day for us today. So let me pull that up. There's that. Let me go into my screen for the Q&A side of things. And then let's see what we have here. Let's see here. Let's see. Trying to find a good question. Okay, you guys are commenting obviously on Ben here, which is great. Okay, so hey Sebastian, roughly what percentage of your stock portfolio is in the miners? I'm fairly new to your channel. Great job. It is, well, in the stocks, the Bitcoin miners are probably, so I have stocks, right? And I have some crypto. I have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, HBAR, some other ones in there as well. If you look at the stocks themselves, that's pretty much 99.9% of my portfolio is in the miners right now on that one. Let's see. Price prediction of Bitfarms and Hut 8 by end of 2024. I think they should be much higher. Obviously, that's dependent on Bitcoin price where it goes up. I would think Bitfarms might actually outperform Hut 8. Bitfarms is actually growing, right? Bitfarms is going to be growing to 21 exahash. That's basically 3x from where they are right now in growth. If Bitcoin goes 2x at least or something like that, then they should get at least like a 5 or 6x, maybe even more than that, based on the growth of that price of Bitcoin going up as well. Hut 8, that's a tough one. They have a huge HOT, obviously, that's going to be valued more for them, but they don't have much growth in their self-mining, at least not right now. We haven't heard anything for that. Question, I was listening to the spaces yesterday during the space. Mike, Alfred, and others were bearish on Bitfarms. Are you getting bearish on Bitfarms, and do you see yourself selling Bitfarms and buy other miners? No. I mean, I can understand them why they're bearish on it, right? We do have the CEO question in place, right? So we really don't know that. What's going to happen with that instance? We don't, they said that the Paraguay, Argentina thing, those are questionable too because, well, you're in different jurisdictions, you're in different countries. But when we had Ben on in one of the prior spaces, he said that they've had less, how do I phrase it? They had less governmental issues in those countries than they have had in like Canada and the United States. So go figure, right? So they do obviously have experience in those jurisdictions, which gives me obviously, not pause, but gives me hope that they obviously are doing the right things in there. They understand the dynamics that are going on there. They understand the region and everything else, and I think they're obviously doing the right things there. So that doesn't really concern me there. The only concern is obviously right now is mainly with the CEO, right? I think if we can get that figured out, I think this, and it's a good CEO, right? That's why I'm saying I think Ben would be a great CEO. The stock should do much better going forward. Get rid of all the unknowns here, uncertainties that are in it, and then it should obviously do much better going forward. So I'm still bullish on Bitfarms, mainly because their operations and their growth going forward to 21 exahash, right? They're supposed to get to, I believe, 10 exahash in May, right? We'll see if they can reach that, and then 12 exahash by the end of June. So they have a lot of proving to do in the next, basically, couple weeks here. And then at that point, if they can't reach that, then we might have to start to reevaluate a little bit. Are they able to actually reach the goals that they're stating that they're going to be reaching? Let's see. Question, I think the CPI ones is going to be a big deal, hot, and will go into the 50s. What do you think? I don't know. Obviously, there's a concern there if the CPI is hot, right, where it's high, that the Fed is going to be less likely to lower interest rates going forward into this year, maybe push it off until maybe next year, or maybe actually increase rates too, right? But they've been kind of dovish here recently, so I don't know. With Bitcoin going down to 50,000, could that happen? Maybe. It all depends. We might get a wick down, and then it's going to bounce back up. So we'll see. Bitcoin price target for the end of 2024. I think it's going to be probably around 100,000, maybe a little bit north of that. We'll have to see, but it could go much faster than that, depending on obviously on a couple of things that happen. CPI data, if it's bad, and obviously we know that the interest rates are going to be lower, that's going to obviously pump things, because then you have more risk on assets being attractive at that point. Yeah, so we'll have to see. But I think probably 100,000, if not more. What is the catalyst for, I think you said I think you mean Bitfarms here, to rebound? Started DCing into Bitfarms when it went debt free. Been catching falling knife cents. Yeah, I've been buying Bitfarms since January of 2022. Right, yeah, 2022. At that point, I was paying $5 per share, but I was also dollar cost averaging into it for the last 2 years. I was buying it also like 40 cents in 2023. Or, yeah, right? Yeah. Yep. No, in 2022, it was going down. It fell. It bottomed out in 2022 in December at like 40 cents. I was buying at that point, right? And then 23 was a much better year. So I understand that. They, like I said, they do have a lot of growth. We do have unknowns, CEO, things like that. I think they will rebound in time. But we just got to be patient, unfortunately. Who else is beside GF Murphy is part of the search committee? That I don't know. I would have to look it up to see if they actually reported that or not. I think some of the other board members are part of it as well. We'll see. if you had to take a wild guess of what's happening with the CO situation, what would think it is? I don't know. I mean, Mike made it sound like he was being ousted. From the press release, it sounded like I didn't get that feeling, but right, the press release is going to say what they want to say, how to make it in the most positive light. So if he is being ousted, I don't know why he's being ousted now, especially if they paid off their debt, they're growing their hash rate going forward. So it seems to me like more so that it might be that Geoff is just maybe wanting to take time with his family. Could be personal reasons, for whatever reasons, right? Could be that the company's also trying to maybe get into, be headquartered in the United States, maybe, right? And he doesn't want to move to the United States for whatever reason. So there's many unknowns that we don't know about this. So I really don't know. I mean, but that's kind of the way I'm thinking at it. I'm 100% and a bit disappointed. How can miners be profitable and we still getting more red days than green days? Bitcoin's obviously, has a huge impact on this as well. Hash price has an impact on it as well. The network hash rate, all of those things. And it's just a lot of uncertainty right now, right? We need Bitcoin to be going up to 70, 80,000, 90. And then at that point, I mean, Bitcoin goes back to like 70, 80,000. Miners are going to follow relatively quickly here. So, and it's always been, for the most part, historically, Bitcoin has been kind of flat or going down a little bit after the halving events. There was actually an article today I was reading. I didn't get a chance to put it up for you guys, but maybe I'll just put it up here so you guys can kind of see it. That some are looking at, let's see, here it is. Bitcoin repeats 2016 history perfectly amid 350,000 price prediction traders, right? So some are saying that it could get to like 175 to 350 potentially sometime this year. They're also saying that the cycle could be faster, where Bitcoin could peak in January of 2025, which would obviously be only approximately 7 months away or something like that from where it's at right now. So we could have this huge bull run that's going to be just parabolic and crazy, or it could be nothing, right? So we'll have to see how that's all going to play out. Do you know the actual point Mike Alfred was trying to make in terms of boardroom members? Why does he think something fishy is up? Yeah, I don't know. I think he was saying something about some of the board members are from the other countries, right? Maybe that has an impact on it, why they're, I don't know. I don't have the insights to that. So I'm not going to speculate as far as what he's thinking on it. But he may have some insights that we don't have. And he obviously doesn't have to share those insights if he doesn't want to, or is just not willing to bring people down for whatever reason, right? So I don't know. Next question, do you ever see yourself owning any Mara stock in the future? Yeah, if they can. My biggest gripe with Marathon, as you guys know, is their operations. If they can fix their operations and have it close to 100% uptime for a consistent period of time, I think they would be definitely one to get. But right now, just the operational issues after operational issues, and them also being a little bit coy on the miners that they're getting, how many they're getting, what price they're paying. That's kind of like, why aren't you being transparent? Everybody else being transparent what they're getting. Why can't you be transparent? It's kind of like, that kind of irks me a little bit too. But they're obviously the biggest miner here in the space. They have a lot of potential, but the main potential is obviously if they can operate more fully, more close to 100% uptime. I'm not saying they have to be 100% uptime. If they can get to like 90, 95% uptime consistently, I think that would be great. Let's see. Which miners have a large percentage of their market cap backed by actual Bitcoin? Which percentage have a large percentage of their market cap? So that'd be, I mean, really that'd be Hot 8. Hot 8 is like 80% of their market cap is backed by Bitcoin right now. If you look at the market cap of Hot 8 compared to what their HODL value is, it's like 80%. And then after that, you go down to like Marathon, which is like 20%, along with Riot, I think is right around there as well. So is Cleanspark, and then some of the other guys are like at 60%, something like that. Let's see. I think did I answer this one already? Yeah, I think we did. Be patient with the questions, guys. I will eventually get to your questions here. There might be a little bit of delay. But this is basically high submission. I have 100% of my portfolio miner and a bit disappointed. I just don't understand how can miners be profitable and we still see more. Yeah, so I covered that one already. Okay, price prediction of Bitfarms if it reaches 17 exahash and 21 exahash. All right, again, I'm going to go back to the old adage is depending where Bitcoin's going to be at. they could be at 1721 exahash, and Bitcoin could be in these levels, and they're probably going to be maybe a little bit higher from where they are right now, right? But Bitcoin, excuse me, but if Bitcoin goes up to 125, 150,000, something like that, then they're going to be much higher priced. At that point, they should be at least 6 to 10x from where they are right now. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Let's see. Okay, and so this is interesting. Yeah, Mike actually did mention in the spaces that he knew, if he knew anything, he would let us know. And his view on the boardroom is based on what he believes, just to let you know. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, he did state that. I'm 6,000 shares deep in tomorrow at 29.36. Yeah, okay. So you bought towards the peak here in this couple of last weeks. Should I be heavily concerned? I haven't diversified into other miners, and I'm all in on this. Went from a day trade to a back hold trade since Q4 earnings. I would say, so you're down probably, what, 33%, 40%, something like that right now. I think, where's Marathon right now? Marathon is at 17, so you're almost at like 50% roughly. So 40, 45% down. I don't know if you have to be concerned. I think you just have to be patient, right? Eventually the stocks, the Bitcoin miners will pop with Bitcoin popping. The only concern would be obviously if you don't think Bitcoin is going to go up, or if that doesn't actually happen, right, then you might be out of money. Like a lot of us will be out of money potentially. So you wouldn't be the only one in that position at this point. But I think being patient, and if you can, I would say maybe dollar cost average into it if you can. That's kind of what I've done. I've said this before. I've bought back in January of 2022. Dollar cost average down, right? I was buying Cleanspark at $9, Bitfarms at $5. My averages are much lower now because I was able to dollar cost average into them. And obviously all that upside is also much better at that point. So just be patient, I would guess, would be probably the thing that I would do. But obviously not financial advice. You got to do what's right for you. Let's see here. What EPS and revenue for the last quarter do you expect on IREN on Wednesday? Well, the revenue I can kind of give you guys what I'm pretty sure it's going to be. Revenue is going to be, as far as all in on Bitcoin mining for themselves, is going to be, let's see here. Revenue is going to be for the quarter around 53.9 million. So that's going to be their revenue for the quarter. As far as EPS, let's see what kind of EPS they had in the past quarters here. Looks like they lost 15 cents for H1, which came out to be approximately negative 7.2 cents in Q2, which would have been December ending quarter for them. Based on that, I think, let's see, what revenue did they have at that point? They had revenue of, let's see, the revenues was actually for the quarter's 42, so the revenue is going to be better. Right, and it's just a matter of they don't hodl anything, so they can't use the FASB rules. Plus, they're not based in the United States, so they can't use the FASB rules there as well. So the hodl is not going to have an impact on them at all because they don't have a hodl. So they might be close to like breaking even at that point or being slightly profitable, but I wouldn't expect any like a blowout quarter or anything like that. They would have to be probably much higher on it. Let me see, how much of a loss did they have here? They lost for the quarter. I'll point this up to you guys to the screen as well so you guys can see it here. So this is IREN. Let's see, net loss was 2.3 million. So that, yeah, they should be possibly being able to make a profit there. If profits are up from where they were, let's see here. They had 42 million here, so profits are going to be up approximately 11 million or so. Maybe that's going to be obviously enough to offset some of those costs there, the losses. So they should be positive, I would think, depending what they put into it all. Right, depreciation, stock-based compensation, that can offset those things, but you can take those out. Those are non-cash expenses, and you can see how they're still doing on a cash flow basis. Okay, let's get back into this. Let's see. Okay, I think I missed a couple of questions here. There we go. Okay, there we go. Question. I'm hearing there is higher cost than expected on Paraguay. I have not heard that. I heard that they actually got like a 6 months locked in price. I believe that was in Paraguay. It might be Argentina maybe. I can't remember which one it was, but one of those two. They actually got a really low cost fix for like 6 months. So definitely be interested to see if there is actually a higher cost on it. Cleanspark price target for January 2025. Again, depends where Bitcoin goes, but my price target is $70 roughly. That's been my price target for Cleanspark for the last probably year and a half or so. And that's still based on, that's stayed pretty much flat for me is because dilution, right? But they've also been increasing their hash rate. So the price target is kind of staying where it's at. I think it can possibly do better depending where Bitcoin price actually goes at that point. If Bitcoin goes up to 150, 200,000, stock can possibly do even better than that. What's the earnings predictions for tomorrow for Bitfarms? Okay, so let's take a look at Bitfarms here really quick as well. Let's go to my screen here. On this one, let's take a look at Bitfarms. So Bitfarms, right now, I'm looking at them having about 49 million in revenue. In March, for their self-mining, they had 46 million in December ending quarter. So let's take a look at December quarter, how that played out. Q4. See, revenue 46 million. What was their net loss? Their total comprehensive income loss was negative 43 million. So they had obviously some stuff in there. What did they have in there at that point? They probably added a bunch of stuff to the end of the fourth quarter. Obviously, probably bonuses, share-based compensation. What else did they probably add in there? Energy infrastructure was 36 million of that. Okay, they obviously have a HODL, but they can't use the FSB rules being in Canada. So that won't impact them at all. I'm trying to see what else was there that was kind of high. Here we go. Loss on disposition of property, plant, and equipment. That was 13 million there. And impairment of short-term prepaid deposits. That was 12 million there. But they had it in there. So they had about 25 million of, stuff that probably shouldn't happen again, I would imagine, at least not being that high. What else do we have here? That was kind of high. Salaries and share-based payment, right? You see it right there, 8.9 compared to the 4 that they had. So that was an increase there. So if they get rid of the 25, that brings them down to, if we take out depreciation as well, not depreciation, that brings them down to 43. So it's going to be tough for them, right? I'm not sure how they can obviously use the FSB rules on their Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been growing as well, not much. I mean, it's been pretty flat here over the last, from December through March. So there's really not much change there anyways, other than the value of Bitcoin. So I don't know how they can reevaluate that possibly. So we'll see. My throat's getting dry. Let's get back into the Q&A side of things. Okay, I am new to this and do everything through Robinhood, including Bitcoin purchases. I don't plan to sell, excuse me, move my Bitcoin other than that limitation. Are there any pitfalls of using Robinhood? I mean, if you have Bitcoin on Robinhood, right, so it's not your keys, not your Bitcoin, basically. If Robinhood gets hacked, hopefully they have some kind of security measures in place, or at least guarantees that your Bitcoin to a certain extent is going to be safe, right, to a certain amount. We don't know. I don't use Robinhood. But that's one of the concerns that I have with anybody that I use as far as Bitcoin being on an exchange. If you're not trading it, if you're just holding it, get it off the exchange, put it into a hardware wallet, whatever that might be, in a cold storage, get it off of there. And I think that's much, much safer. But obviously, you don't lose that hardware wallet or the 24 passphrase for it, whatever it might be. Keep that all secure, safe, in a fireproof place outside the house, in your parents' house, or in a lockbox or something like that, right? You want to make sure that you don't lose that, because then you lose your keys to your Bitcoin and you lost it anyways. Let's see. Why is IREN tapping the ATM but fully funded? Right, further growth. They're also getting into the AI side of things a little bit. So as long as they're going to be growing past the 20x that they want to get to, they're going to be tapping that ATM unless the stock actually goes up much higher. At that point, they don't hodl any Bitcoin. So if they do sell Bitcoin monthly, they can possibly use those proceeds. If Bitcoin goes up higher, they can use those proceeds to then fund future growth as well from that. That's kind of the reason why. I mean, that's why everybody does the ATMs here. Do you plan to sell any Bitcoin at what you see as towards the top of the cycle? No, at least not right now. I mean, right now, I'm saying that basically because of my thought process on this. Bitcoin gets only to, let's say, 200,000, right? I've kind of stated to myself as a personal goal, I'm not selling Bitcoin unless it gets above above a million. So I'm holding it for the long term, diamond hands all the way through the valleys and peaks and through the valley of death and into Bitcoin's heaven, right? When Bitcoin gets to 1 million. So that's kind of where I'm looking at it. I think I'll do very, very well on the Bitcoin mining stocks where I won't have to sell the Bitcoin. But unless really something if an opportunity comes up where it's advantageous for me to sell a portion or all of it, then maybe I'll think about it. But right now, Bitcoin's kind of like my retirement fund. I do have a 401k as well. That's going to be doing really well. But I don't need it right now. Maybe I'll give it to my kids when they're older, as well as, as I pass away or something like that. Yeah, that's kind of the way I'm looking at it right now. Do you use technical analysis at all? You're talking about obviously looking at the stock charts and things like that. I look at it a little bit. I don't use it. I don't day trade, so it doesn't really matter to me what Bitcoin does or the miners do. Right? We know about the historical sequences of Bitcoin over the cycles, what it's been doing, and it's kind of what's driving me forward. I look more at the mining companies themselves. How are they operating? How are they doing? How are they growing? What's their track record like, right? How are the management there? All those things are more important to me than what the stock does on a day-to-day basis, because I dollar cost average into the miners anyways. So I'm not really concerned with the daily activities on Bitcoin or anything else. Bitfarms earnings predictions, we just talked about that a little bit here. It'll depend. If they can be pretty lean here, I think they'll do very well. Or not very well. They at least should get maybe a positive EPS. Revenue's up just slightly from prior quarter as well. Bryce is here as well. Bryce, thank you so much for coming in. Great show. Thank you. Okay, cool. We have Ben on tomorrow. We will pitch the idea of CEO. Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah. I mean, ask him if he'd be interested in being the CEO, right? If you guys have him on tomorrow, that's fantastic. And maybe I'm trying to think, has Ben been on before with you guys? Isn't it usually GF that's been with you guys on that? So are they grooming Ben to be the next CEO potentially already? I don't know, right? But ask him if he'd be interested to know. And I'll definitely let you guys know what I find out from, obviously, Bryce. And I'll link it as well through Twitter. I'll share it. Okay, so Bryce, that'd be cool. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. If we have a recession and the market goes down, do you think the mining stocks will go down with the market? Depends on what Bitcoin does. If we have a recession, I'm not expecting a recession, to be honest. If we do have a recession, it's going to be a very, very mild one. Probably not until 2025 sometime or 2026. At that point, Bitcoin's probably going to be at peak anyways before then, so it doesn't really matter. If we have a recession now, that wouldn't be good, right? Because right now we're trending at that peak where Bitcoin is supposed to be going up. But if we have a recession, that's going to obviously change our plans here drastically. Yeah, but right now I'm thinking if we have a recession, not until sometime in 2025, possibly 2026, Bitcoin bull run's going to be over by then anyway. So not much to really worry about it. Okay, so Bryce is saying, yeah, Ben came on one solo last time. Okay, cool. Bryce, you had the same thought as having Ben be the CEO? Great minds think alike. Okay, so there you guys have it. Video will post on Tuesday morning. Cool. Thanks, Bryce. Appreciate that. All right, let's see if we have any other questions. Let's see. Would there be any way to ask if he's concerned about the boardroom and if he would clarify the situation? I mean, you can ask. I'm sure Bryce could probably ask him, but I'm sure he's going to skirt around this topic, right? You don't want to, what's the term? You don't want to air out your dirty laundry or something like that in public or something like that. Let's see. Yeah, no worries. The chat's becoming a conversation. Sorry, Seven. No problem. You guys chat away. I'm trying to find questions here. Yeah, here's one. Election year, recession. No way. Yeah, I don't see it happening either. How do you think the BTC and miners perform if we do not get any rate cuts? Just look at the last 18 months or so on Bitcoin and the miners so far. They've obviously done pretty well, even with higher interest rates. I think I have to go back to see when we were actually done getting interest rate hikes. I think it wasn't until, when was it? Like halfway through last year, I think, right? Or maybe the first quarter. Can't remember exactly when the rate hikes stopped. And Bitcoin at that point was still going up. So we'll see. Ben is one of the most knowledgeable people in the BTC mining sector from the technical side. CEO, it'll be interesting to hear his answer. Yeah. Let's see. Can Mara just hire Ben so we can get our miners running a little bit better? No, they can't hire Ben. They can't take him away from my Bitfarms. But yeah, that would obviously be a concern. If Ben goes someplace else, oh man. I know that they obviously have the plans to get to 21 exahash this year still, but not having him there as well, that would be tough pill to swallow there, I think. Joining late, great video. Thank you. How is your sentiment? Has anything changed? What are your thoughts on BTC price action 1 to 4 months? Can you talk about the US market and how that affects BTC? So I'm not like I say, I'm not a day trader with you guys here. I invest in long term on these things. So I don't really track how the stock market affects the BTC price. Some people say Bitcoin's correlated to the S&P 500. It's correlated to something else. It could be. I don't know. I don't trade that. I look at growth on the miners in a different way, right? Long-term growth potentially, and I try to get them at the cheapest points I could get. I didn't know where the bottom was going to be on the miners. That's why I bought them back in January of 2022, right? Continued to buy in through basically all this time. I didn't buy in the last 2 weeks because I got to pay property taxes. I don't know if you guys have property taxes in other countries, but in the United States, they're outrageous. In some spots, they're not as bad as in other spots, but in some spots they're outrageous. So I have to kind of hold some assets or hold cash back to pay those. Otherwise, I'll probably be buying some more. But once I do pay it off my property taxes, I will be buying some more. Overall, in the next 1 to 4 months, I think Bitcoin will probably bounce back up to 70, 75,000 maybe in that time frame. Maybe go close to 80,000 potentially, but we'll see. Right, that's kind of the thought process there. And I'm still bullish on Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners long term. These little price dips that we get from the miners from time to time and Bitcoin, I'm not concerned by those. I look at those as buying opportunities. I just wish I had more cash to do it. Let's see. Okay, covered that one. Let's see. Did you hear about Mara doing consulting work for country of Kenya? Is that a potential pipeline? I don't know. I haven't heard anything from it. If you'd share a link or something like that, that'd be great. SEO search usually takes long, but the lack of clarity is worrying. Yeah, and that's kind of what we're getting here. Ben is a good choice for CEO for Bitfarms, but is he a good businessman? Well, I mean, that's to be determined, right? I mean, businessman, what do you need as far as a businessman in a Bitcoin mining field, right? You need somebody that can find infrastructure, build out infrastructure, do those types of things, and you usually have a team around you that does it, right? The CEO, more or less, is just there to drive the vision forward, but you have people underneath you that will look for green fields or buildings that you could buy potentially, right? And then you as well, I don't know even if the CEO does it, but I'm guessing you have people like Ben. Ben's probably doing that now, where he's doing the number crunching as far as, does this miner make sense for us to purchase now? Could pricing go up more in the future? So he's kind of doing all that stuff already, I would think, and it's just having somebody that has a knowledge of Bitcoin mining at the core of their understanding of everything, I think would be just great. see. Let's see. You think Microsoft, Apple, Meta, Google would be running without a CEO for 2 months? Obviously not. They're also, what's Google now? Like $2 trillion company, right? Apple, same thing. Yeah, they're definitely not going to be doing that. They have a succession plan. It's usually somebody from the inside too. If you look, historically, those companies have brought in somebody from inside the companies. So somebody that knows the inner workings and everything else, right? They don't go searching outside to get their friends or something like that. They look for people that have experience in that field, and Ben has that experience. Cleanspark seems to be winning the sentiment war among the mining community in terms of quality and management. Is that your take also? Yeah. I gotta be honest, I'm a bit surprised, obviously, by all of the Cleanspark positive sentiment that's out there, right? When I was first covering Cleanspark back 2 years or so, it wasn't out there. When I did videos in Cleanspark, nobody really cared, right? But as time has moved on and they've executed and done the right things, we've seen that changeover from where it used to be more Mara, and Riot and everything else to now it's like Cleanspark is the golden child here. I guess based on the performance, I'm not surprised that it happened, but I was surprised that it's staying this long, maybe. Let's see. McNally, might see if you can get us investors an answer of why, is leaving as CEO. That'd be great to find out. Yes, Bitfarms is now running without a CEO. GF is still there. When I was mining, we were using via BTC for the pool on that one for the 5 years that I was managing it. That worked out actually pretty well for us at least. All right. Okay, I think we're catching up to all the questions here. I don't see any other questions, you guys. But yeah, definitely interested to see what Ben says. Well, they're going to talk to Ben tomorrow. Bryce and Anthony are going to talk to Ben from Bitfarms tomorrow. They're going to ask him the question. Interested to hear what he has to say on it. And then we'll get that answer possibly on Tuesday, because I don't think Bryce is going to want to spoil the surprise. Okay, but that is it. Bryce, thanks so much for coming in here. Great to have you. We got to get you on one of these weekends, maybe to do a live Q&A with you and Anthony as well. But that is it, guys. So thank you again for coming in to watch this. Greatly appreciate it. Let's see here. Spreadsheets are available to my Patreon members. That link is down in the description as always. $8 a month, $5. There might be a tier that's $5 and $4 open still. And then if you pay yearly, if you pay yearly, you get a 10% discount on it. On top of that, you get access to our Discord server as well. Okay. So again, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Without you, we would not exist. So thank you. Love you all. And have a great night. I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then.